Nice to see you. Studio's looking good.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So is this where you do all your recording? Yeah.
Yeah, this is the control room, and then on the other side of this wall is the live room. Yep.
Sweet. What was the
Yeah.
last thing you recorded in there?
Um, Part of the Greens was just here last Tuesday, and they did a new 45, I think, and then uh, what the fuck was before that? They were here in January, and they did their whole second LP. So, part of the Greens, and then Kendra was here 2 weeks ago, and then May Powell, a new singer songwriter we just signed, will be here next Monday. Yeah,
Same.
keeping it busy.
Nice, mate. Mate, you've been keeping busy since you started Colemine by the sounds of it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's been pretty nonstop.
I saw that you were a high school teacher before you started Colemine.
Yeah. Well, I started the label in college, but it was like a hobby for like 8 or 9 years, um, from like 2007 to like 2015. It was like a hobby. And but yeah, I taught high school science for almost 10 years while like the label was just like for fun. And then gave up on the kids and said fuck them kids, I got out of here. And no, but I quit teaching in 2015. That's when I opened the store, and that's when the label like got a little more serious.
So what was it that made Colemine well, when was it that you decided that Colemine was your full-time job?
Well, it's kind of weird because when I quit teaching, I certainly didn't jump like right into 100% label. My brother and I opened a record store, and the idea was, and the thought back then was like, yeah, it'd be cool if the label was full time, but label income is very volatile. It's like up and down, big expenses, big revenue, like volatile from a cash flow standpoint. And so we thought like the record store would be a more stable sort of cash flow source. Um, and so the store sort of, in a way, financed the label for probably the first like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years from like 2015 to 2020. Um, and the label was just sort of like investing in itself in a lot of ways. And then I think it got to the point where like I was full-time coal mine, maybe 5 to 10% record store for myself, probably like 2021, really.
So what are your current roles in terms of Colemine and the record store at the moment?
The store, I mean, it's all one big company, the store and the label, that my brother and I run. So like there's lots of, he and I are the owners and the operators. He mostly manages the store and I mostly manage the label. So we both have like big picture input on both sides of the company. But my role is on the label side is mostly A&R, and I get to do a lot of mixing and art for the label, and I do all the accounting, which is I really enjoy.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
I do. It's so fun, but uh, I'm really good at Excel, and I think if there was like well, actually, we just found out that there actually is a global competition for Excel every year, and yeah, I would love to participate because I think I have something to offer.
uh,
But it's a good mix. It's a good mix of like mixing a record and writing songs one day, and then like parsing out ISRCs from Spotify the next day. It's like cool.
yeah, you kind of exercising different parts of your brain. I think in the music industry, and for a lot of musicians nowadays, you've got to wear a lot of hats. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think
Oh,
50 years ago where I'm just a songwriter or I'm just even an artist. Like you have to have a marketing eye and you don't have to be, but you know, a lot of the most successful artists have a marketing eye or an visual aesthetic eye and a social media eye, whatever it is. The more you can do, the more you can do on your own, the less you have to like hire people out to do it. And then it becomes more realistic that it's your full-time thing. And then that's a two-way street. There's a give and take there. At some point, like Bob and I put off, Bob is my brother. We put off hiring people on the shop and label side for a long time for that exact reason. You're like, well, we just can't afford it. We can't afford it. And then once we like hired people, we realized like, oh shit, like we should have done this a long time ago. And we have, we've seen the benefit of having a great staff. Because they just add so much value to what we're doing and add value for our artists and make the whole company better. But it took a while. We waited till probably like we were about to die or something to hire people. So
Colemine, it's got a big analog focus, I'd say. Or would you say?
yeah, I definitely think the aesthetic is very like tactile, analog, warm, whatever you want to call it.
What was it that got you into that side of production? Was there a certain album, certain song, certain artist?
I think I naturally, I grew up selling records and like being around records and loving how old recordings sounded. And I also grew up like loving trying to figure out hip hop samples, like where something was sampled from. And I think what brought it full circle or like made it more realistic for me was discovering like what Daptone and Truth and Soul were doing in like the mid 2000s and being like, oh shit, this is like now. Like they're doing this right now. I remember sitting on Truth and Soul's MySpace and listening to Lee Fields and being like, what in the hell is going on? Like, there's no way this is new. Like, there's no way. And I think that was a big like aha moment for me because then I was just like, man, I want to figure out how to do this. Like, I love this. I love how this feels and sounds. These are like the records that I love. How do I figure out how to do this in my own way?
And how did you?
I don't know, man. Failed, like just tried a bunch of shit. Um, I think in the beginning, spring reverb, that was like the first thing that I was like, oh man, when I add spring reverb to everything, it starts to sound old and shitty, like a trash can. And then buying a 4-track, which I still have right there, I still use a cassette because I was like very intimidated by reel to reel. That was like I don't know, it just seemed like above my pay grade. I was like, I don't know how to do that. But a cassette, I was like, oh, that's easy. That's 4 tracks cassette. So I think that was my first step into it. And then I'm just trying to always learn from people that are way smarter than me. You know, engineers like Tim Felton from the Surefire Soul Ensemble and Sergio Rios from Orgone and Kelly Finnegan from Monophonics. And they all used the Tascam 388. And I was like, well, I should probably get a Tascam 388. And got that. And, that's still the thing I use. So, yeah, but I mean, it's just a lot of tripping and falling, just like, oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. Try something else.
Did you have a teacher in that area, or was it all just trial and error?
It's always trial and error.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I had a lot of other folks on the label, and like, there's plenty of people I could ask questions to, but no, like, my only music education classes were like composition, and so I didn't know shit about that. I just learned like I think I just learned like actually how to use a compressor like 2 or 3 years ago. I was always like, man, what does this shit do? I don't know. It seems too hard.
Yeah. I like those ones where you don't even have to adjust the attack and release. It's just, yeah, bung it through.
I mean, I just turn that one on and it just sounds better.
Yeah.
But I have been like, I am actively trying to get, well, one is I have a little bit more time to dedicate to that stuff now too. Cause that was the other thing is like, I didn't have, I was trying to make sure the ship wasn't sinking, so it wasn't until pretty recently that I actually had time and bandwidth to like dedicate to try to become a better engineer and producer and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with this producer, David Perry, very recently, and it sent me down this like wild tape saturation rabbit hole. Um, just about like trying to get the most out of the 388, like how to get it to sound like definitively mid-fi, like without it being like too crunchy to where it's like, oh, this is fucked and blown out. But like this like perfect, there's a middle ground where it's like perfectly mid-fi. And it's like you hit this sweet spot on it. And yeah, so I'm just like chasing that shit lately.
What's the trick to that?
I think the trick is properly using the compressor before you hit tape so that you're getting max tape saturation before you're absolutely blowing the channels.
Okay.
Like you're like, and part of this is the rabbit hole. I mean, this is like really nerdy, but like the rabbit hole was a lot of the new tape that's being manufactured has a higher output, and because it has a higher output, you have to push it harder to get it to saturate and distort. But if you push it harder on the 388, you blow the channel strips before you blow the tape. And so I had to buy a bunch of old tape that has lower output so that the threshold to saturate it is much lower. And anyways, yeah, it's just some dorky shit. But it's really fun. And it's been like mind blowing because I'm like, holy shit, I've been using new tape for like 8 years. And like, for some records, it makes sense. Like for an Okonski record, you don't want it to like, I want that record to be like, hi-fi is the wrong word, but like I want that to have like, I don't want it to be distorting every time, all the time. Um, but for like my records, like the bullshit that I put out, I want that shit like blown. And or I want it to just totally saturate. And so yeah, the key was like buying old tape that had lower output.
Yeah.
That's why that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm on the internet reading fucking forums about tape.
It's paying off though. You got some great sounding records coming out of that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been really fun, and this has been like a really productive like this year. 3 LPs that were recorded here will come out, and hopefully next year, like 4 or 5 out of the studio. So feels good.
Terry, if you could be a fly on the wall for the making of an album, what album would it be?
Like historically,
Yeah.
any of the Brothers of Soul 45s.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Solid.
Yeah. Cross. I think that's the most perfect music ever made. I mean, it's like Detroit, but it's dirtier than Motown, and it's like lo-fi, even more lo-fi Motown, and it's just fucking perfect.
Mm.
All right, I shouldn't cuss. Should I cuss? Does it matter?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. With Colemine then, and obviously your A&R head, finding new artists. How are you going about that, and what are you looking for in new artists?
um, there are, I'd say most new artists that we work with generally come from some sort of connection to somebody that we're already working with. Um, it's not always true, but it's 95% of the time. So like Taylor Williams, who we haven't announced yet, but we'll be announcing in May, like I met him through Blake of the Indications, and May Powell, who we just announced last month. I met her because she opened up for Steve Okonski. And so as far as like introductions, I think that's how things generally occur. But as far as what I look for, I think there are three things always. One, do I really like this music? Obviously. Two, do I think I could get along with this person for 10 plus years? Like, can I work effectively with this person? And then three, are the goals of this artist pretty closely aligned to what we feel like we can do? Yeah. You'll notice like none of those things are marketability or financial, none of that shit. Like I I don't care about any of that. Like it comes down to like, do I like the music a lot? Do I believe in it? And do I get along with the person? Really, those are the two big ones. And if one of those, if it seems like really not volatile, but if like, I don't know, if before you even started to working together, it's like difficult, it's like, oh, this is probably not, it's like any relationship. You're like, ooh, this is like a red flag. Like should not. Cause I mean, what's it going to be like in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, if they're already like this, if the dynamic is that in the beginning, it's like, oh yeah, we're probably not the right fit. Yeah, so that's it for me. Do I like the music a lot? And can we get along? And are we on the same page?
How do you go about pushing those artists once you've got them? So get them recorded, and then say send them on a tour with some artists that are also on the label.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, and if they want to tour, if they're, which is like all about that third thing, like expectations. If they're wanting to tour, we'll do our best to try to like hook them up with booking agents or like opening routes or managers that can kind of help them get off the ground. But my approach is generally like slow and steady. I'm not trying to, because you can do it. You can go the fast route, but it's more expensive and it's riskier. And I would rather go a slow, organic route, and really find out like who their fan base is and have the time to like misstep and retract and shift our philosophies. So yeah, I think in the beginning it's usually all about like, let's get a record out, let's get music out, let's find out who your fan base is, let's like get you on the road, hopefully, get record stores behind you, get like key radio supporters behind you, get music supervisors excited about the project, get our distribution partners excited about the project, just as much as we can do internally, and then sort of being like, all right, where's the momentum? And, kind of leaning into that. So yeah, fun and frugal, in the early days.
Do you find you're having to adapt that process at the moment with the current landscape, or is it generally been the same throughout Colemine's life?
It's definitely changing. Like we're definitely getting more, like in this like digital landscape. I would say we're putting out a lot more like digital standalone singles, or like the lead up to an LP is a lot longer now. But that's still kind of in line with what we want to do, So like historic, 7 years ago might have been like, if we sent a new artist, the first thing we might say about that artist would be when we announce the LP. It might be like, yo, new LP, new artist, here we go. And now the approach is more like, all right, let's announce an artist with a digital single, and then another digital single, and then another digital single. And maybe these are all on the record. and we won't announce the record until like the fourth single in, and be like, yo, because by that point we have a little bit of like feedback on like, is this thing going to be huge? Is it going to be medium? Rather than like a one size fits all sort of thing. So I think that like slow and steady organic approach kind of works in the current landscape, in our current format. And I mean, still the album is the ultimate form, like always, like I listen to a handful of podcasts and sometimes they talk about like how we're in like a digital whatever, like we're in a singles market. And I'm like, nah, we're not. Like we are, but like big picture, it's still album, like if you just have a handful of singles and you never put out an album, it's like, oh, well, okay. Like you've still, in my mind, the ultimate form, the ultimate like artistic expression and opportunity to like galvanize yourself as an artist in retail and on the DSPs is like the album. So, but I think it works. For our model. And I mean, and if it's soul, like 45s are still like 45s are so in line with that, like it's easy to get 2 songs done. It's like, cool, 2 songs. If they're 45s, if they're like appropriate for a 7, great. Like that's 2 digital singles. That's like an easy like lead into a band. Like low stakes, high reward if people are into it. Yeah, so I think I love it. I still love that idea of like breaking a band with a 7 and or 2 7s and then drop the album.
How did you come across artists like Kelly Finnegan or even Durand Jones?
Let's see, Kelly, we met because we had a mutual friend. Kelly was in a band called Destruments, and which is like kind of it was like instrumental hip hop sort of stuff, like late 2000s. And I was working with an MC from Detroit at the time, and another one from Ann Arbor who used to go by the name Othello. It's like underground hip hop stuff. And Othello had a connection with Destruments, and he was like, man, the way you talk about producing records is just like this other dude I know, Kelly Finnegan. And I was like, oh yeah, you should like hook us up or whatever. And so he and I hopped on the phone and like just instantly were like, oh my God, like we like the same shit. We talk about music in the same way. We hate the same things. You're Irish, I'm Irish. Cool. And so like we instantly got along. That was like 2010, I think. And then he had just joined Monophonics at that time, and they had just cut their first 45 with him at Sergio from Orgone Studio in LA. And so that was like yesterday. And that was just like, I remember the first time I heard like yesterday. And I was like, what are these vocals? Are these like samples or some shit? And he was like, nah, dude, that's me. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's you? Huh. So that was Kelly. Durand, I met Durand and the guys through Blake Ryan. From the he's a guitarist in the Indications, and he had some family in Cincinnati, and he was coming to visit them over the summer or something. And he hit me up and was like, hey man, I've seen your 45s at my local record spot in Bloomington, Indiana, where he went to college. That's where the Indications were formed. And he was like, I've seen your like 45s at the record spot. I'd love to see the studio, which was in my basement of my house back then. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm cutting a bunch of drum breaks this weekend, if you want to come through. And he came through and he fixed my Hammond M3, which is really nice of him. And he brought a compressor and we just like fucked around with some shit and cut some dirty drums. And even though I didn't know what the hell it was doing, compressor, but we cut some dirty drums. And he was like, oh yeah, man, this band too back in Bloomington, Durand Jones and Indications, we got these demos. And that was like 2013 maybe. And he gave me some of the demos and they just like sat on my laptop forever. And then when we opened the store, I kind of like started going back through all the shit that I like wanted, like maybe would have the time to release now. And I hit him up and I was like, hey man, I know there's only 8 songs in this thing, but like we should release this as an album. And he was like, I don't know, man. It's not really, it's pretty rough. And I was like, yeah, it's dope. We should put it. And yeah. And then we put it out.
So it was those recordings that you used?
Yeah. It was like 8 songs. I mean, they remixed them a little bit, but like it was pretty much there. But yeah, they sat on my laptop for like, I don't know how long. And then one day we were in the store, and we were listening to music from my laptop, like just whatever I had on iTunes, and that shit came up. And somebody in the store was like, what is this? And I was like, oh fuck, like nothing, this is nothing. It's not out yet. And that was, I would think that was kind of what triggered me to be like, man, I should hit up Blake up and tell him like, yo, I was just playing this in the store and people wondered what it was. And yeah, and I remember we pressed the first run, we did 1,000. And I remember all of them were like, oh man, 1,000, that's too many. Like, we're never gonna sell 1,000 copies. Like, we gotta like make less. We don't want you to lose money on this. I was like, no, this is fine. Like, be able to sell 1,000. But I was very worried. I was like, fuck, 1,000 records. This is so many. And so I hustled the shit out of that record to record stores, and it sold out like by the street date. And yeah, and that was the beginning. That was the beginning of it all. And the first time they played a show in Loveland, at the record store, an in-store, I think it was like 15 people. And like half of those people were like my family. And the next time they played a show when the album came out, it was packed. It was like as many people as you could get inside of that store, which is not very many, like maybe 100, 150. And that was like June of 2016. Yeah, I don't know. It's been awesome to see that. Like, I mean, yeah, coming up on 10 years of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing. How how do you start off with the funding for stuff like that? Is it something you've built up with the label, or say like when you were more starting out as well? Did you save up, put that money into the records and hope you'd get the return?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, ironically, when you really think about the early days of the label, like all I really had to offer in the early days was like distro, a little bit of brand awareness, but really what I really brought was my money bags from being a public school teacher. But no, really, like that was it. I just was the guy that had $900 to be able to press 545s. Like, and the musicians that were doing it probably didn't. And so like in the early days, ironically enough, yeah, I was just like the financial backer. But yeah, it was very early days. It was like, how do I just not lose money? Like, how do I justify to my then wife, hey, I'm going to press another 45, you know, because it's not like I didn't have unlimited, you know, I was a public school teacher making like shit. And so I didn't have much, I didn't have any money. But I didn't have any debt either. So I was able to like, just like save a little bit on the side and be like, all right, I'll put this $1,100 towards this 45. And I remember the first time I pressed an LP and I was like, I will never financially recover from this. But you know, yeah, you just grow it. And then, like I said, and then 2015, once the shop was involved, the shop sort of acted like an investment firm basically for the label. You know, not that we were spending like crazy, but like certainly more spending than normal, or than it had been at least, you know.
What,
So it's hard. Yeah, I guess just like saving money, being frugal, you know, using profits from one project to hopefully finance the other ones. Not spending a dime on marketing.
really?
I mean, not in the early days,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Marketing. fuck, marketing?
I mean,
Like,
market yourself, I guess, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would just mail shit to DJs and, email radio stations and call record stores and, um, so they were dollars, just not actual dollars, just time, you know? And then I remember the first time we spent money on a publicist. It's the same guy we still use, Tony Banyata. It was for the Durand Jones campaign, and I don't know, it was something criminally low, like $1,200 for, like, a 3-month PR and radio campaign, just, like, amazing. And I remember being like, "I can't believe I'm paying somebody fucking $1,200 to do what? To get this at radio and get press?" I was like, "This is fucking insane." And now I look back and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's the greatest deal it's ever greatest $1,200 I've ever spent." Um, it was just a shift in mindset for me. Like, I just had I never was never used to spending any money marketing at all. Like, that wasn't a concept in my mind. It was like, "Oh yeah, just sell all the records and move on." Because digital wasn't a thing back then, really, like, in any sort of meaningful way. So, like, digital didn't matter. You weren't trying to market to get your numbers up or anything. It was just like, how do we sell all the records? Because that's the only measurable sort of success thing we can look at.
I think that that approach you've had, it seems like has definitely benefited Colemine and it's how it's maintained. So I think that's definitely done well with your kind of DIY approach and enthusiasm and having to do all that yourself. It seems like it has definitely benefited.
Yeah, I think it's like big long-term shit, you
Mm.
know? Like, I certainly wasn't aware probably that it was long-term back then, but yeah, like you know, building relationships with record stores and radio stations, like really genuine, authentic relationships. Nothing replaces that. And, there's just certain things that you can't systemize or automate. And those types of relationships and the value that they bring are certainly one of them. I think that's the thing that gets lost in like the whole digital first approach, which I get. Like 98% of artists aren't moving physical products. They don't give a shit about it. But like the fact that we have such a physical first mentality provides every new artist that we sign with this like foundational level of support from customers, from radio pluggers, from DJs, from record stores. And it's like built in, it's like, it's not like I'm having to do anything other than like be like, "Hey guys, we got this new thing. Check it out. It's pretty cool. It kind of sounds like this. Hope you like it. And if you don't, that's okay too." That's the other thing. Like I try to be very unassuming with it. I fucking hate being like told how good something is by someone. I think it's so cringy when a manager is like, "You got to check this guy out. He's the next big thing." I'm like, already don't like it. Already check the fuck out. Like, I'm already out. Shut the fuck up. Like, what? What? Who says this shit? Just be like, "Hey man, this thing's dope. Hope you like it." Like, give me the option to like check it out. And so I try to take that same approach with retailers. Be like, "Man, I hope you like this. I love this record. I'm really kind of reminds me of this. I hope you dig it too." Just letting people decide for themselves. Being sold something fucking sucks. I hate that shit. So I think go to like manager. I swear to God, some managers must go to like a school or like sales class, and they just like train you on these approaches. It's just like, ew, no, man, gross. Don't talk to me like this. Also, if anybody's listening, like sends demos in, man, the best like emails we get, because I answer every single demo that comes in, and it's a lot, which is really sweet and like means a lot to me that people think of the label enough to send us their music. But like the best ones are usually like so short and sweet. It's like, hey, I'm John from Syracuse, New York. I make this kind of music. Here's the demos I'm working on right now. Let me know if you dig them. And then I get emails from like managers sometimes that it's like fucking this long. It's like, here's all her stats. I'm like, buddy, I don't give a shit. Like, and like, as you can see, their digital numbers, metrics are already, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't care. Where is the link? Where's the SoundCloud link? Like, couldn't give you shit, my dude. Anyway, sorry.
Terry, you make me laugh. What are you currently listening to? What do you reckon we should be listening to? I see your Plantation top there.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
What am I? Let me see. What am I listening to? I mean, this morning I was listening to the new remix of Pink Floyd of Pompeii that they just put out because I'm obsessed with that Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii record.
They remixed it on like a Dolby or something, or
no? Well, they just like it's never been like officially released, and so they like officially just put out echoes on the DSPs. It's always been like bootleggy sort of vibes. It's never been actually out in any way, and yeah, so it's really nice that I don't have to go to YouTube to listen to it now, because I think the drums on that version of Echoes is the hardest Nick Mason has ever sounded. And it's the heaviest shit when that groove drops in at like 4 minutes or whatever. And also David Gilmour just looks like a fucking specimen in that video. Anyway, so let's see. I've been listening to that. Let's see, what else have I like? Oh yeah, I put it at the top of this playlist. Oh, there's this Mad Honey, another Taste 45. This is like, I think this is a UK label. It's this like dirty disco shit that's like just totally in my head.
oh mate, you have to send me that. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's on this label. Hold on. Space Grapes. It's fucking dope. Makes me want to just make boogie shit. The new stuff that College Knowledge dudes have been putting out, and the stuff from Australia and the Frolin Music Library. That's what I've been listening to a lot lately.
What's
So, the guys from Surprise Chef and Karate Boogaloo, they run a label called College of Knowledge in Australia, and then they also run like a music library called Frolin Music Library, like kind of like sample pack type of stuff.
okay?
But they've got one that's like a David Axelrod vibe, and it's just like 80 minutes of like things that kind of sound like David Axelrod, and I'll just listen to that shit on loop while I'm working because it's amazing. I love everything that they're doing, everything that they're engineering. Henry, who's their engineer, everything they're doing, I think just sounds wonderful and good.
Have you heard of Sholto?
Shalta, who's that?
He's someone I interviewed recently. Put an album out last year, and he did a tribute to David Axelrod.
Wait a minute.
His albums.
Yeah, The Changing Tides of Dreams.
Yeah, and Let
yeah,
It Go Forever is the album, I think.
Yeah, I have listened to this. I forget why this came. Why did this come up? Because we were talking about this record in the office, and I can't remember why. Because we were saying how it kind of sounds like there's parts that sound like the Ironsides, but really it all just sounds like David Axelrod. That's the commonality. Everybody's like, how do we sound like David Axelrod? I need to listen to this new one. I haven't checked this one out.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so
Let Me
long
Go.
as well, but it doesn't feel long.
Yeah, that's cool. Where's he from?
He's from London.
Oh damn.
Yeah, he records himself. He's got his own little studio and mixes it himself as well.
That's the way.
Yeah.
That's the way, I mean, yeah, there is no other way in my opinion. Just do it all yourself, because then you don't have to rely on anybody else to do that shit.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll check out the new record. Yeah, it looks like he says he works with Inflow, and I mean it's pretty dope.
Yeah, man.
Cleo Soul, yeah. And the art direction on his shit is like dope. Good fonts, bro. Damn. I love this one. This is such a good font. Such a stupidly good font.
What one?
The script one, we've used it a couple times. I don't remember the name of it, but it's like I think we used it for a Gabbard Brothers record, maybe. But it's definitely like very close to what's on the cover of the first Dave Axelrod record,
Okay.
which is like Bible.
Bit of a detour. Have you seen that Abstract series on Netflix? So it's a series called Abstract, and each episode is on a different art or artist. And there's one where they look at photographies and typographies.
My God.
Honestly, it's super interesting.
I love that shit. Like I think my love of fonts is right next to my love of Excel. It's pretty close. It's such a weird thing. It's like such a like I don't have any training on that shit. I just learned how to fucking do design because I didn't want to pay anybody to do it. But man, it's so fun, and it's so fun to figure out why certain things make you feel a certain way. And like how tweaking them even just a little bit is like, oh, this feels more authentic or older or whatever the fuck it is. It's so fun. I'll check it out. Put it on my little notes.
Yeah, man, check it.
Cool. Yeah, man. That shit's so fun. I wrestled with that really hard because I just finished my first record as a solo artist, and I was like, my God, what am I gonna use for the fonts? It was so hard. It's so easy to judge for other people, but it's so much harder to do it when it's my thing. But at the end of the day, they were obvious choices.
What did you go for?
Helvetica and Cooper Black.
Okay.
That is me. That is me in a nutshell. I'm a basic bitch. Helvetica and Cooper Black.
You know it works, don't you? Yeah, it works. There's a reason it works.
Yeah, man, because it's great. Works for
Terry, I've got one more question for you before I'll let you get off. You're losing your hearing, but you've got one song left before it goes. What song do you choose?
Oh my God. Probably Honey Dove by Lee Fields. Like the 2006 version, not the old version, the big thick version that Leon produced. Yeah. I think it's like the greatest shit ever.
Sweet.
Or one of them. So
thank you, Terry.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's been really nice to meet you, albeit virtually.
Yeah. I love talking about this shit. It's fun. It's fun to see how this like hobby has grown into like a thing that employs people and pays royalties, and it's fascinating to me. I think it's awesome. So
yeah, it's beautiful.
Privileged to get to do it. So
yeah, man. There's a question I missed actually. What's next for you, or how do you want to be viewed in the future?
I try not to think too much about like how I'm perceived, even though naturally like that's a big part of my personality, unfortunately or fortunately. But I try to actively try not to think about that too much. But I think for me, it's post-pandemic was like for the label at least, there was like a lot of exploration, and I think now I've found myself with like a little bit of bandwidth and time, so I'm trying to like rein things in tighter a little bit, and just kind of get like back to basics, like earlier when I said like fun and frugal. Like, I have a list of goals actually quite literally in front of me. Quality records, fun records, DIY shit, fun, frugal, rinse, repeat.
Oh, I love it, man.
So that's like that's where I'm at. I don't think I don't think I have a desire to like make the next big thing at all. Like that shit's not. It's not as the work that it takes to do that is not as fun or gratifying, in my opinion. And so it's just so much more fun to do projects that to make a baseball analogy, like I like hitting singles and maybe doubles, you know, but like I'm not swinging for home runs every time. You know, I want to fucking just hit singles all day. Get on base, do it again. Like that's the shit because that's fun. So that's what's next, I guess.
I love it. I really respect it. I really respect you as well, Terry, and everything you're doing.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. No, thanks for taking the time to, ask some questions and let me ramble about some bullshit. And yeah, man, I'm an open book. I'm always down to chat.
Brilliant. If I'm ever around Ohio, I'll try and get to Played Room as well.
Do it, man. It's a great. I mean, that's the coolest. That might be the coolest aspect of the label is that like we have a face. The shop, like the shop is like our face. You can like come in and, somebody came in the other day and they like bought a copy of. This is actually not the other day, like a year and a half ago. They bought a copy of Kelly Finnegan's Christmas record, and the guy that played drums on like 4 of the things was like ringing them out, and they, you know, I think she heard the record on TikTok, and he's like, "Hey, well, how'd you hear about this record?" She's like, "Oh, I saw it on TikTok." And she ordered it on Amazon. But we were the only people we were the fulfiller, which is like fucking wild. Like that somebody locally. Anyway, so she like comes in to pick up her Amazon order of A Joyful Sound at Plaid Room, and we're like, "Oh yeah, how'd you hear about it?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I just," and you're like, like Lunch This Record was recorded like upstairs. And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah," and, like he played drums on it. I'm like, "What?" And it was a beautiful moment because it's like connecting this like very virtual, disconnected seemingly world with like, hey, no, this is like real. Like, hey, this thing you're holding was made here. Like, that's so cool. Anyway, all that to say, the shop is a beautiful way, like an extension of the label that's like a cool face for people to like come in and browse and hopefully have a great time. And hopefully that makes them, appreciate the label and the personality of it.
Have you always wanted to stay in Ohio as well? Because you've grown up around there, have you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any desire to really go anywhere else. I like Minnesota a lot to go camping. I think I'm like my house, I'm like cosplaying, always camping. I'm like, I have this wood paneling and I'm in the woods and I'm like I'm always trying to pretend that I'm, cause that's like my happy place. My happy place is like canoeing and camping in Minnesota, but I like it. Every time I go to a big city, I start to freak out after like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, oh, this is too much. There's too many people. There's not enough trees. And I don't know. Everybody's got a fucking angle in the music industry too, especially in like LA and New York, Everybody's always like, we should connect. What the fuck does that mean? We should connect. We should collab on something. I don't know what you are saying. And it's the people that say that shit are usually the people that don't do anything. Don't have any tangible skill. They're just like, I don't know. I'm not trying to just talk shit about managers, but yeah, people are always trying to fucking connect, and I'm like, I'm just trying to not connect. I'm trying to be in the woods, making records and working with my team of people that I really like, and rinse and repeat.
Right, I'll let you get to your day, Terry. I'll let you
This
get
is
to
here.
sitting in the woods.
This is good. This is good connecting. I think it's like I don't know. It feels like the more I do this, sometimes folks just want like money or time, you know, to make another Pink Floyd reference, like people want the one of two things or a combination of the two. And yeah, I've just found, to bring it way back to like record stores, like creating authentic connections and like building actual relationships is always the way. Uh, and sometimes that is just like, hey man, let's just take a meeting and get coffee, and that's fine. I like that shit. I'm a social butterfly. Um,
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say we're social beings. I think that was why lockdown was so difficult for a lot of people. Is
yeah,
we need to socialize and be around people, and that encourages everything else. It brings good energy around everything else.
yeah, and I mean, when the motivations are sincere, it's like it's the best thing ever, because that's what yields. I can think of so many records that exist only because of that. Like the Okonski records. That was because the indications were crashing at the shop on tour, and me and Aaron, well, Steve they had some tunes that they would like play as like warm-ups, and like the three of us were just jamming in the back of the studio. And then Steve and I started talking about jazz and like, oh man, it'd be cool to make some like jazz records. And like years later, like we're on the second one and we already have the third one in the can. And it's like Parlor Greens. Tim and I started talking about like organ records. And he's like, who would you want to put together for an organ trio? And I was like, I was putting an organ trio together. I'd want Adam Scone on organ. I want Jimmy James on guitar. And, 4 months later, they're here in Ohio and we're making a record. So it's like, yeah, those conversations, those connections are like yield cool shit.
You're putting it out into the world.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Not to be all whoop or anything, but yeah, manifesting, just putting that shit out there.
Terry, it's been great to speak to you, man.
And I appreciate your time, Elliot, very much.